Last year, my 33-year-old husband, who is also 33 years old, of 6 years, told me he had gone to several therapy sessions. No specific number, but at least 5, though he insinuated more. I was very happy with this because I've been asking him for years to go to work through his trauma and anger issues. Earlier this year, we had a major incident that pushed me to tell him I wanted a divorce a few weeks later. After my declaration, he said he had already gone to an additional 3 sessions since the incident. He told me about them as an attempt to regain my trust and show me he recognized how bad the incident was to and for me. He said he was taking accountability for it and was trying to be better before I even told him I wanted a divorce. After realizing some inconsistencies in his story about the recent 3 appointments, and due to the broken trust after the big incident, I asked him one night if he could ease my mind by giving me proof of those 3. He visibly panicked, became defensive, flustered, and gave excuses as to why he couldn't provide proof. He had deleted the account so they wouldn't show up under him, and they were free so they wouldn't appear in my bank statements or his. When I asked him if he would check through our insurance website, since insurance is the only way they could have been free, his hands started to shake. But luckily for him, the website wasn't registering the information I typed in at his behest, and his account could not be created. I decided to accept his answer for the moment and hold off until I could reach out to the insurance company myself to confirm. He then said that he didn't trust the insurance company, that he thought, with his luck, his appointments wouldn't show up. I did expect that to mean that he hadn't gone and was lying, but I tried to hold off on setting firm assumptions until I received further information. Well, this morning I did receive further information from the insurance company. Not only did he not go to the 3 in the key month, he also had only gone to 2 last year, not the several he claimed. I've also attended several therapy sessions for myself in that same time range. He knew about all of my appointments, and yet in our many fights during that time, he has frequently used him going to therapy more than me as a point that I'm the issue. That he's better than me. He's actually working on himself. That I'm the one who needs to be going to therapy to fix myself. To be the one to change so he doesn't act that way. Based on what I found out and looked up today, I've been to almost 7 times more sessions than he has in the same date range. Though I can confirm that he has gone to 4 therapy appointments since I told him I wanted a divorce, I drove him there, the payments hit my bank account, and they went through insurance. The big incident really demolished my trust in him as it was traumatizing for me, and he confirmed he lied during it. Knowing he also lied about nearly all of his older therapy sessions while using his attendance as ammunition against me, and then lying to me again after he had restarted therapy just destroys it even further. I had been trying to hold off on filing for divorce while he was going through his current bout of therapy, projected to be 3 to 4 months, working on myself in the meantime, but I'm not sure it's worth it anymore. He has been emotionally, verbally, and at times physically hurtful for basically our entire relationship. But I stuck around because I had the wonderful idea that I could help him change. Now that I know the truth, and feeling like my trust in him is absolutely gone at this point, do I even bother confronting him, or just give up and file? I know if I confront him, he'll likely get angry and say that the past appointments shouldn't matter since he's going to therapy now. I hope he's been learning enough in therapy to not choose hurtful actions, since he's been doing well over the last few weeks he's attended. But I don't know if I can trust my expectations of him anymore. I have another therapy appointment later this week, but I just wanted some more immediate feedback. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Emotional, verbal, and physical abuse? This man is not going to change. He purposefully, deliberately lied to you over and over again. Even used it as a weapon against you. This man will not change. He wants you to think he did while he keeps up his nonsense. How many more years of your limited time on this planet are you going to waste with this piece of garbage who doesn't care? Do not confront him. Do not. There's no point. Make a plan and run away as far and as fast as you can. Comment 2. You were ready to leave him before you found out that he was lying and manipulating you. So how is this new information not bringing you to the same conclusion? Also, physical abuse? This is legitimately the time when you're most likely to be in danger. You need to leave, but don't threaten divorce. Talk to a lawyer, get safe, and have him served. Now, for the update. 2 days after I found out my husband was lying about his therapy sessions, I decided to confront him. I had to. I couldn't keep this bottled up anymore. I waited until we were both home from work so we could talk without distractions. I thought that would be better than doing it in public, you know? So we were sitting there, and I started the conversation calmly. I'm not a yeller, never have been. But the second I mentioned the confirmation from the insurance company, the guy got defensive. He started talking about how I was making a big deal out of nothing. Like, what? I just stood there, not really showing any emotion, just presenting my findings clearly. He accused me of not trusting him and insisted he was working on himself. Yeah, right. Things escalated quickly, and before I knew it, we were shouting at each other, throwing accusations back and forth. I don't even remember what half of it was about, but I knew I needed clarity, so I spent the night at my sister's house. I thought maybe a good night's sleep would help. While I was at my sister's, I checked my phone and saw a notification from our shared family calendar. It was a dinner scheduled for the upcoming weekend with his family. I decided right then that I was going to attend. I felt a mix of determination and apprehension, kind of like I was going to a battle or something. On the night of the family dinner, I arrived early just to gather my thoughts. I needed to be in the right headspace for whatever was about to go down. As I was sitting there, I noticed my husband's sister, Lisa, was acting a little off. She was unusually quiet and spent most of the time texting on her phone. The family was engaging in small talk, and my husband was trying to act like everything was normal. It was almost funny, really. But halfway through dinner, I couldn't help it. I discreetly checked Lisa's phone and saw a text thread talking about us, our family dynamics. One message hinted that Lisa knew about my husband's recent behavior and his lack of progress in therapy. I mean, what more evidence did I need? After dinner, I pulled my husband aside into the living room while the rest of the family was still chatting. I asked him about the messages I'd seen and whether he'd been honest about his sessions. He started to stutter, trying to come up with some excuse, but I cut him off. I was done listening to his lies. The confrontation drew the attention of other family members, and it was so awkward. Lisa was standing in the doorway, her face a mix of concern and anticipation, like she was waiting for a disaster. My husband tried to downplay the whole thing, but my voice rose above the chatter. I accused him of using his family as a shield to avoid accountability for his actions. I was done with that. Our argument spilled into the dining area, and suddenly, all eyes were on us. The atmosphere shifted from cheerful to tense, you know? He tried to deny any wrongdoing, insisting he had changed. Yeah, okay. I then dropped the big news. I revealed my knowledge of his lies about the therapy, and I could see the shock on everyone's faces. His face turned red, and family members exchanged glances like, "What the hell?" Lisa finally spoke up, backing me. She said honesty was crucial for healing. I was so relieved to have her support in that moment. As the argument peaked, my husband stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Everyone just stood there in shock. He came back later that night, clearly agitated, and tried to downplay everything that happened. But I was done being manipulated. I told him I was filing for divorce, and you could have heard a pin drop. His face was a mix of disbelief and anger, but I just didn't care anymore. Lisa and my sister supported me as I left the room, leaving him standing there alone. I felt a weird sense of relief. It's going to be a long process, but I think it's going to be worth it. Edit. My husband has shown some improvement in managing his anger, but I can't ignore the fact that the underlying issues are still there. His history of infidelity, including cheating during our engagement, has made it tough for me to trust him fully. Despite his claims of personal growth, I can't shake the feeling that his accountability is only surface level. This situation has impacted my relationship with his family and my sister, leaving us all in a complicated position. Am I the idiot for leaving my boyfriend after he lied about working to party with friends. Going on 6 years, I try to gently bring up future plans, such as what our goals would look like in terms of family and marriage. He often resorts to saying he is focusing on his career growth and isn't thinking about those things. He often responds that he is focusing on his career to provide for me in the future. But all I ask for is to discuss with him, for us to set a goal, plan, and work together. I try to communicate that these topics are important and that we should at least try to communicate about them to know if we are on the same page with the steps we are taking toward that goal. I also try to express that I don't mean to put any pressure on him and that my intent is for us to work together as a team, so not all the pressure is on him. I am doing my part as well in working for a stable future. He always says things like he's not ready. He wants to find the job that will make him happy and not come home stressed so he can provide for me in the long term. While I appreciate this, it mentally leaves me feeling like all my efforts toward a stable future are not considered, and it's beginning to feel like it's because he believes it is his only role in a relationship. I wish for us to share the mentality of working together as a team. I just want to be able to talk about these things with him, as it is important to think about, especially when I am in a physical position of needing to think ahead. What can I do differently? Now for an update. Thank you all for your perspectives. The reality is hitting. I guess it's something I've always avoided and been in denial about. I have an unhealthy attachment. I always believe we are both growing together with hope that things will change and that he does value me. But maybe that is blinding me from the reality of it. I am turning 27 soon, and I am now afraid of what decision to make moving forward. My mindset is stuck in my ways. I also feel I am fighting for him to see value in me. All your shared input is helping a lot, and I hope to rebuild a mindset that is more realistic, even if it means seeking help with how to approach the topic. Now for another update. I guess I'll express more about what makes me think otherwise and let the reality sink in more. I appreciate this thought of wanting to help me financially because he sees me as a female who will always be making less than him. He always talks about potential high-paying jobs he will be getting and then mentions traveling wherever we want. I get so blinded by his intentions, but I'm failing to accept that it's only been words, and it's always been that way. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Sounds like he does not have any intention of marrying you or having children with you. He's already in his id-30s male, and you have been together for 6 years. How can he not be ready to even have a general conversation about it? That makes no sense unless he is just trying to string you along. If you want marriage and children, he's probably wasting your time. Seems like it's not a coincidence that he's with someone significantly younger than him. When he was 30 and you were 20, women his age would have been wanting to have these kinds of conversations, and he didn't have to worry about it at the time with a 20-year-old. Comment 2. Listen to what he's telling you. He isn't interested in marrying you. He is never going to find a job that makes him happy every single day. By setting that as a requirement to even begin to maybe consider the possibility of marrying you someday, he is ensured he will never have to marry you and can shut down all discussions. If you want marriage and children, you need to be with a man who shares those goals. Your current one does not. He's not only not on your page, he's in another book kept in a library across town. Now, for the update. I went to a family birthday party for my dad about a week after my last update. We had it at that local Italian restaurant we always go to for celebrations. My partner decided to skip the party, saying he had to catch up on work. I figured he just needed the time alone to work on his stuff, so I didn't push it. During the party, my dad made a toast about family and love, and it really made me think about what I wanted and where I was at in my life. My younger sister, Kate, asked me about my relationship plans and caught me off guard. I just avoided the question, but I noticed my mom was watching me closely, and it felt like she was trying to figure things out. Later at dinner, my mom pulled me aside and asked why my partner wasn't there. I explained that he had work to do, but she raised an eyebrow, like she didn't believe me. That kind of made me feel worse, to be honest. After dinner, Kate pulled out her phone to show everyone a group photo from a trip she and her husband took. And guess who was in the background of one of the photos? My partner, looking all relaxed and carefree. He had been tagged in the photo, and I just lost it. I texted him, asking why he hadn't mentioned being out with friends. He replied, saying it was just a casual outing and not worth mentioning. This led to a heated exchange, and I pointed out how his priorities were all over the place. He just dismissed my concerns and said I was overreacting. Over the next few days, he was less responsive to my messages. Then, during a weekend family gathering, my brother Jake and his wife revealed they were expecting a second child. The family celebrated, and I felt this longing for my own future. The following week, I got invited to a friend's wedding happening in a month. I told my partner I wanted us to go together, but he said he might be busy with work. That just frustrated me even more, so I decided to go to the wedding alone. I felt like I needed to reclaim my independence, you know? At the wedding, I had a great time reconnecting with old friends. One friend introduced me to this new guy who was interesting and easy to talk to. We exchanged numbers, and I felt a little spark of excitement. I missed that feeling. When I got home, my partner was there waiting for me with a surprise dinner. He seemed so clueless about the distance that had grown between us, and I just felt so done at that point. A few days later, he mentioned a big project coming up that would require his full focus. To me, that was just another sign that our paths were going in different directions. I decided to have a serious talk with him about our future plans, but he just brushed me off. After a few days, I gave him an ultimatum. We needed to either commit to our future or part ways. He hesitated, clearly surprised by how direct I was being. That led to a confrontation where he accused me of not being supportive. I ended up packing my things and moving out to my sister's place. Honestly, I felt a sense of relief. I sent my partner a final message, clearly stating my decision to walk away. He replied with a mix of anger and confusion, but I didn't engage with him any further. Am I the idiot for leaving my cheating fiancé and taking our cats? I'm so stuck and confused. I am a newly 23-year-old female, and my fiancé is a 24-year-old male. We have been together for 7 years. We met in high school. I was very insecure, and he was a silly 18-year-old. I immediately became attached to him and obsessed over everything. Once I turned 19, I wanted to move in with him. My family life was difficult, and the first chance I had to move out, I took it. We've been living together for 4 years. Now I am 23, and I am not the same insecure, obsessive person I was. I keep finding myself thinking we're not compatible anymore. We've both changed a lot. We're still best friends, but we've become roommates over the last year or so. Whenever I bring up issues I have, he doesn't see any issue and thinks I'm being overly negative or critical. When I brought up us not working out anymore, he said I always go 0 to 100. I'm not sexually attracted to him anymore. He's an attractive man. I just think I've become so emotionally detached. He's let me down multiple times, which is normal for a young relationship, I know. Lots of forgiveness and growing together. I just had my birthday, and it was one of the worst birthdays I've ever had, and I've had a lot. I asked him to pick me up from a friend's house because I got anxious and couldn't drive, and he said no because he hit a cannabidiol pen and didn't want to drive. Fair, but he could have said, give me like 30 to 45 minutes. He's done that twice to me, but on my birthday, it hurt more. People in my life have been unreliable, and I really wanted him to be there for me. I've brought up multiple times how I wanted to be loved with words and how they mean a lot to me. He'll compliment me for about 2 weeks once or twice and then stop, and we'll have the conversation all over again. Then he'll say, I thought I was doing better. Remember that time I said you, etc.? He's been in between jobs, and I supported him for 5 months while he figured things out. He then got a job that's stable, but wants to quit because it's too hard. He said he'll work with his dad. He did support me during a low time too. He's not a bad person. He just doesn't make me feel loved, and no matter how many conversations we have, nothing changes. I've thought about leaving a lot, but I get such an anxious feeling and feel like I want to vomit. He's been my safe place for 7 years. He always tells me that if I leave him, he'll spiral and let his life go. That pains me so much. I just want him to be happy, but I'm scared it's not with me. I'm scared his family will talk about me on Facebook. We have 2 cats that he technically owns, and I will be distraught if I can't see them anymore. We just renewed our lease. He's helping my mom with renovation work. My nieces and nephew love him. I just feel so stuck. We've had low points and gotten through them, but this feels different. I've never been on my own. I don't know who I am. I love him, but I'm not in love with him. I just want someone to tell me what to do. Almost forgot. Sorry if this is all over the place. I've never posted anything before. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'm just so scared. What if no one accepts me for who I am, like he does? I keep going back and forth. We'll have a good few days, not romantically, just enjoying each other's company, and I'll think this is fine, I can do this. But then I find myself wanting more, and I don't think he can give me more. I don't want to hurt him. Comment 2. We have been together for 7 years and I'm not in love anymore. There's your answer. You grew up and apart. It's very common for people who stay together from their teenage years to adulthood. Now, for the update. 3 days after my birthday, I decided to talk to my fiancé about how I felt. I was in such a weird headspace. It felt like every time I tried to bring this up, something happened that made it go nowhere. So I was like, I gotta find a way to talk to him. I brought it up during breakfast at our kitchen table. He was scrolling on his phone and barely listening, which made me frustrated. I mean, we were trying to have a conversation and he couldn't even put his phone down for 5 minutes. I mentioned how I felt like we were just roommates. I thought that would make him understand, but he just laughed it off, saying I was being dramatic. Like, excuse me? My feelings are dramatic now? I pushed back, saying I wanted to have a real conversation. He sighed and told me he didn't want to talk about it now. Just like that, he was done. So, I left the kitchen and went to sit on the couch with our cats. At least they listened to me. I called my mom to vent about the situation. She invited me over for dinner to chat. She always knows when I need to talk. During dinner, she asked about the engagement and if we had set a date. I told her we hadn't even thought about it. She looked concerned and asked if everything was okay between us. My mom suggested I think about what I really wanted. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know if I could have it. The next day, I noticed my fiancé was acting strangely. He spent a lot of time in the bedroom and avoided me. That was odd for him, so I decided to check his phone while he was in the shower. I found texts from an unknown number, but they were vague, just random stuff that didn't say anything. The next night, I went to my friend Sarah's place for a small gathering. I shared my concerns with her, and she encouraged me to dig deeper. I went home, determined to find out what was going on. I waited until he fell asleep to look at his phone again. I discovered a recent photo of him with a girl at a bar. The photo had a timestamp from the night of my birthday. I confronted him the next morning with the photo. He tried to deny it at first, saying it was just a friend. I told him I didn't believe him, and he finally admitted he was with someone else. He claimed it was just a one-time thing and didn't mean anything. I was like, really? Just a one-time thing? I left the apartment and stayed at my mom's place for a few days. I decided I couldn't let him get away with this. I contacted the girl from the photo using the number I found on his phone. I sent her a message asking how long she had known him. She responded, saying they had been hanging out for a couple of weeks. I invited her to meet me at a local diner to talk. When we met, I showed her the photo of them together. She was shocked and didn't realize he was engaged. I told her to stay away from him and that I would be ending things. I went back home and packed my things while he was out. I took the cats and moved in with my mom temporarily. I called my landlord to discuss breaking the lease. I can't believe I even bothered to confront him about the photo. Like, how stupid was I to think he would actually be honest? I was already feeling low about us, and to find out he was cheating on me, it just hurt so much. I tried to trust him and make things work. But after all this, I just can't see a way to keep going with him. It sucks that I have to start over now. But I guess it's better than being with someone who doesn't care. To answer a few questions, My fiancé and I had never broken up or taken a break before this incident. The trust had been shaky, but I had never expected infidelity. The girl was unaware of our relationship, and I don't blame her for what happened. My fiancé's family isn't aware of the situation yet. My mom is helping me navigate this, and I'm considering talking to them soon. The engagement ring is already packed, and I plan to return it. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.